I make a lot of pies every Thanksgiving. Apple, pecan, chocolate cream. My counters are covered in flour, and my oven is working overtime. But I have a 20-year-old secret. For the last 2 decades, this has been my pumpkin pie. Yes, I've been buying my pumpkin pie from Costco because in the chaos of the holidays, I told myself it was close enough to the real thing. But is it? I mean, it's a monster. It's legendarily affordable, and it has saved me a critical sliver of sanity year after year. But as I've served it, a quiet thought has always lingered. Am I, a person who obsesses over all my other from-scratch pies, cutting the wrong corner? Is this mass-produced dessert a worthy stand-in for a from-scratch pie made with care? Or have I been living a convenient 3.5-pound lie all these years? Today we find out. Before we get into it, if you love food investigations like this one, make sure you hit that like button and subscribe. Now it's time to see if this store-bought giant I've relied on for so long can actually hold a candle to the true from-scratch pumpkin pie. Section 1, setting the benchmark. Before we get baking, let's properly introduce the reigning champ of convenience. This is the Kirkland Signature Pumpkin Pie. First, the stats. This pie weighs a staggering 58 ounces. That's over 3.5 pounds. Measures 12 inches across and costs in most places an unbelievable $5.99. That price has famously resisted inflation for years, though you might see it for $6.99 or more depending on where you live. It's designed to serve at least 12 people, which brings the cost per slice down to about 50 cents. As a baker who knows the cost of butter and spices, that is an insane value. But value is meaningless if the taste isn't there. Let's get into it. The filling has a very soft, smooth, and almost fluffy texture, like a light custard. The flavor is dominated by sweetness, with pumpkin and spices playing a very secondary role. That crust has always been that weak link for me, a functional container made of shortening that lacks that rich flavor of butter. So the overall impression? For what I pay, it's a solid, respectable dessert. It's consistent, it's convenient, and no one ever complains. But can it truly compete with homemade? Does it have that same soul? To beat it, we need to focus on 3 things: a richer spice flavor, a creamier, denser filling, and a crust that's a star in its own right. I think we can do that. This is my chance to do it right, and to find out if the extra effort and cost are truly worth it. I'm not just following any recipe, I'm chasing a memory, focusing on the details that separate good enough with unforgettable. It all starts with the crust. The Costco pie uses a shortening-based crust. It's cheap and stable, but one note. We don't want that. For this pie, I want the flavor and flakiness of an all-butter crust. So that's what we're doing. The science is simple. You work ice-cold cubed butter into the flour, leaving pea-sized pieces. When that cold butter hits the oven, it creates steam, pushing layers of dough apart and creating those flaky, tender layers that shatter when you take a bite. It's more work, but that rich, buttery flavor and delicate texture is something that commercial crust just can't replicate. Next, the heart of the pie, the filling. Here's a fun fact that really surprised me. The recipe for the Costco pie hasn't changed since 1987. Is that amazing? And it uses Dickinson pumpkins, the same proprietary variety that goes into Libby's canned pumpkin. So yes, the great Costco pumpkin pie starts from a can, just like many of our homemade pies do. There's no shame in it. In fact, that can is the key. I'm using Libby's 100% pure pumpkin and the famous recipe that's right from the back of the can. This is the pumpkin pie for millions of people. The question is, can this timeless, accessible recipe, when paired with a scratch-made pie crust, still beat the mass-produced version that uses the very same pumpkin? Finally, the soul of the pie, the spices. The Costco pie has a secret proprietary spice blend, but its flavor is undeniably mild. We need to do better. The Libby's recipe calls for 1 teaspoon ground cinnamon, half a teaspoon salt, half a teaspoon ground ginger, 1/4 teaspoon ground cloves, and we're sticking to that classic foundation. But here's a little trick I learned from my mom. Thanks, Mom. She's not dead. I'm just thanking her. I'm also adding 1 teaspoon pumpkin spice. It's an easy way to layer in those extra notes of nutmeg, allspice, and clove. This isn't about being fancy. It's about getting that flavor just right. We're not looking for a whisper of spice. We're looking for a confident declaration of fall flavor. It all gets whisked together and poured into our unbaked all butter crust. Now into the oven it goes. It already smells more like Thanksgiving than that other pie ever did. Homemade pie is out of the oven and cooling down, but a truly great pumpkin pie deserves a truly great topping. We're not just dolloping any old whipped cream. We're making a stabilized chantilly cream. Chantilly cream is just a fancy name for sweetened whipped cream with vanilla. The problem is standard whipped cream is a foam held together by a fragile network of fat molecules, and it can start to deflate or weave liquid in under an hour. We don't want that, do we? The solution is to stabilize it, and the secret ingredient here is unflavored gelatin. That's right, like the kind from Knox. You sprinkle a teaspoon of it over cold water and you let it bloom for about 5 minutes. Once it's soft, you melt it in the microwave for just a few seconds. To make sure it mixes in smoothly, you'll temper it with a single teaspoon of cold, heavy cream. Then in a cold bowl, you whip the rest of your heavy cream until it's foamy. Add your powdered sugar and vanilla and mix until there's just a lot of bubbles on top. It's looking foamy. Now for the magic. Turn the mixer to low and drizzle in that melted gelatin mixture. A few more seconds on medium speed and you get these perfect firm peaks. This cream will hold its shape for hours or even days, making it perfect for holiday prep. Gives you that beautiful, scoopable texture that won't turn into a soupy mess on the dessert table. Side by side, the visual differences are stark. The Costco pie is perfectly uniform, a pale orange with machine-made precision. The homemade pie is a deeper, more rustic orange. Its surface has a more organic look, and the crust is visibly flaky and golden brown. It looks like the pie I remember, but let's break it down by the numbers. Let's start with Costco. We have a total cost of, let's say, $6.99 to account for regional price differences. The active time investment is basically zero, unless you count the drive and surviving the parking lot, which we should. It serves 12 to 16 people. Per ounce, it costs about 12 cents. An incredible value. Now for the homemade pie. Ingredients for one 9-inch pie, including the butter, canned pumpkin, and milk, came out to about $8. The active time was a solid 30 minutes of mixing and rolling. It serves 8 people, so the cost for serving is significantly higher, around $1 compared to Costco's roughly 60 cents. The total time, including chilling, baking, and the crucial 2-hour cooling period, was about 3 hours. So the tale of the tape is clear. Costco wins on cost, convenience, and serving size. But this competition isn't just about spreadsheets. It's about taste. This is the moment of truth. I've got both pies here, ready for a back-to-back comparison. First up, the familiar friend, the Costco pie. Okay, here we go. The flavor is sweet, definitely sweet. There's a hint of spice. It's pretty mild though, and it's way in the background. It's pleasant and easy to eat, not gonna lie. Very agreeable slice of pie. It does its job. Okay, palate cleansed. Now for the homemade pie, crowned with our beautifully stabilized chantilly cream. All right, here we go. Wow. Let's start with the crust. It's flaky, it's rich, I can taste the butter. It shatters in my mouth. It's salty and savory, a perfect contrast to the filling. Now for that filling. The texture is so much creamier and more substantial. It feels velvety on the tongue, not airy. And the flavor, that's it. That's the pumpkin flavor I've been missing. A rich, concentrated pumpkin flavor right at the front. And the spices are there in full force to support it. This is some good pie. I can taste the warmth of the cinnamon, the bite of the ginger, and that unmistakable complex chorus of holiday spices. It tastes bold. It tastes like home. Tasting them one after the other, the difference is night and day. Pie number 1 was fine. It was sweet and inoffensive. The homemade pie was an experience. It has layers of flavor, contrasting textures, and a clear purpose. The crust was a highlight, not an afterthought. The filling is rich and complex. Based on taste alone, the homemade pie is the undeniable winner. It's not even a competition. So after all of this, is the Costco pumpkin pie a lie? Not exactly. It's a compromise. And for millions of people, including myself for the last 20 years, it's a compromise that makes perfect sense. For the price, for the size, and for the sheer convenience of grabbing a perfectly decent dessert that can feed a crowd for under $7, the Costco pie is a marvel. If you're hosting a massive Thanksgiving and a dessert is just one of 20 other things on your list, it's a lifesaver. For its value and convenience, it's a solid 7 out of 10. But the homemade pie? The homemade pie is a different species entirely. The flaky, buttery crust that tastes like a delicious pastry in its own right. The dense, creamy filling that tastes intensely of pumpkin. The warm, aromatic bloom of those layered holiday spices. That is a 9.5 out of 10. That's the pie I should have been making. The taste difference isn't subtle. It is significant and immediately apparent. My verdict is this. If you have a few hours and you believe that food can be more than just fuel, that it can be an expression of care and a creator of memories, then making a pumpkin pie from scratch is absolutely, unequivocally worth it. The ritual of making it is part of the joy, and the final product is something that no factory, no matter how efficient, can truly replicate. It tastes like love. But what do you think? What are your holiday food traditions? Is convenience king, or are you team homemade all the way? Let me know your thoughts down in the comments below. I read every single one. And if you enjoyed this culinary investigation, don't forget to subscribe for more food showdowns. And I'll see you next time.